So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time.
Placement for Tesla as people's pensions, retirements, 401ks are getting absolutely destroyed. What are they saying on Fox? They're saying Trump is doing this for you. He could be on a yacht with Melania.
While the stock market was tanking and Americans worried about their savings, guess what Trump was doing? Playing with Teslas like a kid who just discovered automatic windows for the first time. The guy who claims he'll fix the economy on day one couldn't even figure out basic car features that most of us have been using for years. But hey, at least he got to take a joyride while the economy crashed around him. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's worse than watching your retirement savings disappear? Watching the person who caused it get distracted by shiny cars like a toddler at a toy store, while Americans were frantically checking their plummeting 401ks last week. Trump was at the White House having what can only be described as a car day. Not an economic emergency meeting, not a strategy session with financial experts. Nope. Car day.
Zoom in on Donald Trump's notes right there as the market is crashing. Donald Trump was selling Teslas.
I love to drive cars, but I'm going to have it at the White House and I'm going to let my staff use.
Placement for Tesla as people's pensions, retirements, 401ks are getting absolutely destroyed.
Picture this, markets in free fall, economic indicators flashing red, and there's Trump standing on the White House lawn with actual Tesla pricing sheets in his hands, gawking at cars like he's never seen one before.
By Donald Trump's erratic tariff threats and tariff wars that he then pulls back and then threatens again. Americans, we'd like to afford basic necessities, keep vital programs around, and not lose our retirement savings.
So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time.
Wow, look at this. Incredible, very nice, he mumbled while examining a Tesla as if it were some alien technology. Meanwhile, your retirement account was losing more value than a banana left in the sun. The Atlanta Federal Reserve wasn't having car day. They were busy revising GDP projections downward by nearly 3% because of Trump's brilliant tariff threats. That's not a small adjustment. We're talking recession territory. Real economists in suits and ties crunching numbers and realizing we're headed for disaster, all while Trump was probably asking if the car had cup holders.
So then he talks about how he doesn't know how to drive and that he's never driven a vehicle in a long time. Sitting in a Tesla, and he was just shocked at the way a car looked because he hasn't driven a car in a long time. Elon Musk, as he and Donald Trump are firing our veterans, attacking 9/11 first responders.
When reporters questioned him about how his tariff policies were tanking the economy, his detailed, thoughtful response was, nah, Biden's fault. That's it. That's the economic analysis from the guy who's supposed to be some kind of business genius. No explanation, no plan to fix it, just blame someone else while ordinary Americans watch their savings evaporate.
But do you and your tariff policies right now bear any responsibility for the turmoil we're seeing this week?
Biden gave us a horrible economy.
Are causing economic harm and hurting people this week. Trump goes, nah, Biden's fault. Biden.
If anything, I have a lot of very smart people, friends of mine and great businessmen. They're now investing because of what I'm doing. He gave us horrible inflation. And I think the market was going to go very, very bad.
The worst part? He admitted he hasn't driven a car in a long time and seemed genuinely amazed by features that most of us have been using for decades. It's like watching your grandpa discover the internet for the first time, except your grandpa isn't responsible for the entire US economy. Trump stood there looking at basic car features with the same expression most people reserve for witnessing actual miracles. His solution to the economic crisis he created?
Bad for the guy who said he wants to inflict suffering on us while he enriches himself to the tune of billions of dollars, where he said on day one he was going to fix everything. Like a miracle, he would get everything done. Donald Trump, the best I can do is a car commercial for the richest man on earth.
I'll let my staff use it. Oh, thank goodness. Economic salvation is here because Trump's buddies get to joyride in a Tesla. Why didn't economists think of that? Forget monetary policy or fiscal responsibility. The key to economic recovery is letting Trump's yes men take turns playing with an electric car. The disconnect is staggering. While everyday Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, worried sick about their financial futures, the guy responsible for the mess is treating the White House like a car dealership. His Fox News defenders were quick to point out that Trump could be on a yacht with Melania, but instead he's putting it all on the line.
What are they saying on Fox? They're saying, Trump is doing this for you. He could be on a yacht with Melania. The economy may be bad, but Trump will be on a Tesla later today.
And I'll see you guys later. Perhaps you'll see the president in a Tesla later this afternoon. Have a good one.
From law enforcement, they're like destroying all funds to go to Washington, D.C. Like they're crippling D.C. They hate Washington, D.C.
As if standing next to a Tesla is some kind of heroic sacrifice. Such bravery, such dedication. Meanwhile, the stock market continued its roller coaster ride, heading mostly downward. The average American doesn't have time for car day. They're too busy working multiple jobs, checking dwindling retirement accounts, and wondering how they'll afford next month's rent. But Trump, completely oblivious to these realities, was fixated on how shiny the paint was on his new toy, while his economic policies actively torpedoed the very thing he promised to fix on day one.
Don't know where that next paycheck's going to be, as Trump and Musk are cruelly ripping apart the lives. But Donald Trump said he was going to fix everything.
So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
As Trump is crashing our economy, as people, most Americans living paycheck to paycheck.
Because long term, what I'm doing is making our country strong again, financially strong, militarily strong.
This isn't just a case of misplaced priorities, it's economic malpractice. Trump's tariff threats weren't just idle words, they had immediate, real-world consequences. Financial markets don't respond well to unpredictable threats of trade wars. The revised Federal Reserve projections weren't theoretical, they represented actual economic danger for real people. People whose retirement dreams were fading with each passing day as Trump played show and tell with expensive cars. So while Americans watch their finances melt faster than ice cream on the sun, our former president is basically doing a car review show nobody asked for. And guess what? The voters are taking notice. Recent polling shows Kamala Harris would beat Trump in Michigan if an election happened today. Turns out people aren't thrilled about a guy who promises economic miracles on day one, while his tariff policies are actually tanking the economy. The orange turd promised us he'd be America's financial superhero, but instead we got a confused old man who's amazed by car features my grandma mastered in 2005. It's like hiring a lifeguard who can't swim but promises he'll figure it out after you start drowning. The real question for America isn't about Trump's driving skills. It's whether we want to hand him the keys to our economy again when he's already steered us toward the guardrail once before.